Going to get right into a great conversation here with 35th District Representative Dan Griffey on the final day of the legislative session. My gosh, Spencer, I know we've talked about this, but 60 days. And even at times, those longer sessions, they go fast. For us here on the outside, reporting on what's been going on. Mm-hmm. But I can only imagine how quick it goes for folks on the inside. So Dan Griffey is here to tell us a little bit about today. Good morning, sir.
Well, this was quite a session. Yeah. We, spanning from, my mother falling ill and passing away to the coronavirus and 250 million things in between. It has been a roller coaster ride, but it is what I signed up for, and it is definitely still my honor to do such.
So what has, since coronavirus in the last 2 weeks, it's really been kind of the main focus around, what has changed? What have you noticed as a change? Wow, my goodness. John Sackgast is here as well.
John, a good friend in studio.
John says, he's been in Shelton his long time. He's never been in the studio before.
Yeah, John and I have been talking about this. John is our communications team at the Capitol, and I've known John for a long time. So it's nice seeing you, John, this morning, John.
That's cool. That's awesome.
On Sine Die Day.
On Sine Die.
So let's talk about what that means for folks who aren't familiar with Latin. It's the final day of the session, and
I've looked it up several times. We're going to have to look it up again. I don't remember the exact translation, but the end, pretty much.
And usually there is a lot of kind of pomp and circumstance with this. Both chambers, which are across the halls from each other, have the doors open, and the speakers on both sides are looking at each other, and they're getting ready to gavel at the same time. But that might change a little bit today.
Yeah, we're hearing that we're going to have a subdued ceremony. I think out of an abundance of caution and also out of respect for those that are isolating themselves as well. I don't want to upplay this virus thing, and I don't want to downplay it. I think what I said 2 weeks ago at the forum still stands true. Take proper precautions. Wash your hands. If you're ill, isolate yourself. Follow the directions that our public health officials are putting out there. And don't overreact. And we're seeing a lot of that overreaction, and I don't blame people, because fear of unknown is the hardest fear to turn off, because it is an unknown.
Sure.
But I think what we'll do is we will persevere. We will get through it. We've passed emergency measures in Olympia, from emergency funding to changing unemployment rules and that sort of thing, to help all Washingtonians weather this storm that we're collectively weathering together. And I'd like to say another thing. A lot of times, the best way that Americans come together, or the way that we come together the most, is through adversity. And I'm hoping that some of this terrible negativity and political division that we've been seeing goes away.
Yeah,
I
see what you're saying. Yeah,
and I encourage people to, be neighborly. If you have a sick neighbor or an elderly neighbor who is isolating, do what you can for them. Be good. I know your good friend over there talks about positive issues all the time, and I do love that about him. And I am doing my best to, when we go into these new activities that we will be going into this year, we have to run for re-election, I'm going to caution and urge everyone to, disagree, but don't be disagreeable.
Sure.
If you disagree with me, but you listen to my opinion, maybe I change your mind 10 or 20%, and maybe the other would be true on the other side. And I think through very positive disagreements, we learn from each other. And if we just get mad at each other, we stop learning.
I know that there will be a little bit of downtime between the end of session and before the politicking portion of the job ramps up again, but it is pretty amazing to see what's happening, at least on the presidential side, as folks are, the Democrats and President Trump are really kind of stepping back in a sense on something that is a huge portion of politics, these mass gatherings and the cheers and the chants and everything. It's definitely going to be different. This weekend is a Democrat debate with nobody in the audience. I mean, it's just going to be.
The NBA is shut down, and Tom Hanks and his wife have coronavirus.
March Madness, no fans are going to be there for March Madness, so it's definitely, you definitely are able to see pre and post and how it's impacting all of us.
Yeah, we don't really know how it's going to affect all of us, and what I just keep trying to say is be as positive as you can be as neighborly as you can be conscientious, and be so neighborly that you're willing to identify that, well, you got the sniffles, and maybe it could be just the cold, but use some caution and be nice and kind to each other, and I think we will weather this incredible storm together, and we will be better because of it.
On the other side. Spencer, do you have something now?
No. Very well said. Thank you.
It's a big day, and however it plays out, it's been a fast session, and we look forward to hopefully regathering soon and learning about the things that you guys have been working on and had worked on. Of course, we will update folks on any sort of changes. I know there was an April event, and I haven't heard any changes on that, but if things do happen, you can always visit Representative Griffey's website. It's got a lot of information on things that he's been working on.
Yeah, and I'll be sending out a recap email and mailer so people can have an up-to-date version of what happens. There should be an email going out today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And as always, I'm totally willing to come in if you would like when we're not in session and have a good talk with both of you. It's always a good time. But there's a lot of things happening. I think even the leadership in Olympia is noticing that our new budget that we're about to adopt is going to have a $800 million ending fund balance because I think everyone's understanding that we have to be way more cautious than we were.
Yeah, that's right, because we talked earlier and with Representative McEwen as well on how I think at early indications of this budget, everything was spent. Every penny was spent.
And now we're seeing a little more caution. I would have to say that with the economic downturn we've already seen, our revenue forecast is going to look pretty off. And because we do rely a lot on sales tax in Washington State, and those activities are dropping off, and $800 million might not even be enough.
Yeah.
So we're gonna all have to be careful, and but again, like I said, I think you're seeing a collective direction that to help all Washingtonians and to make sure that there's some employment security, to make sure that businesses have access to different financial mechanisms expedited so they can weather the storm all together.
Yeah. Well,
Well, no, I was going to say the positive, being Mr. Positive, the good news in all this is we calculated our family of 8 can spend 2 weeks in Hawaii for 47 cents. I mean, per person, of course.
Yeah, we were just noticing that ourselves. We're thinking, man, I hope the president doesn't ban travel to Hawaii because I might be able to afford to go now.
Yeah, right?
Boy,
nobody's on an airplane. My brother just went to Washington, D.C., and his business recalled him back, and he doesn't know why, but he was on a plane that had probably 10 people on it.
Sure.
And he said it was really weird to be able to fly in first class. They'd rather move them all up to first class. That way they didn't have to police the rest of the plane.
They're doing collections for like fuel. For
probably the cleanest the SeaTac's ever been as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dan, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Nice seeing both of you.
Thank you.
John, we'll talk here during the break, see what's going on.